Story 1. For anyone who is in Florida and was considering donating blood or plasma, come back on Tuesday to your local blood drives since they have already reached the needed volume for today. So come back on Tuesday when the next round is needed. Story 2. I think the team at Orlando Regional Medical Center deserves some recognition here. My hat goes off to anyone working there during the time this tragic event was occurring, especially the nurses and surgeons. It takes a lot of courage to be able to stay calm and perform your duties on people so frightened, while under the stress of knowing that people have already died as a result of the event. Stay strong, everyone. Story 3. As someone who witnessed the November 26 shootings in India, I know what shooting at a crowd in a cramped space feels like. This is the saddest thing I've read today. I stand with you from Mumbai. Lots of love. Story 4. Facts so far. 50 people are now known to have died. 53 people were injured. Officials said the killings were likely to be ideologically motivated, though there was no information that the gunman was associated with a particular group. The suspect, Omar Mateen, deceased, who was a United States citizen from the Florida town of Port St. Lucie and was of Afghan descent, was not on a terrorism watch list, although he was being investigated for an unrelated criminal act. How the incident unfolded. The attack began at about 2 a.m. local time, 6 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, said Police Chief John Mina. Pulse, one of the biggest nightclubs in Orlando, Florida, was holding a Latin-themed event that was nearing its end when a man opened fire inside. Shortly afterward, the nightclub posted on its Facebook page, "Everyone get out of Pulse and keep running." Police sources have told United States media the gunman was in possession of a suspicious device strapped to his body. There was an exchange of fire with a police officer working at the club, but it is unclear whether that was inside or outside the venue. A hostage situation developed, and at 5 a.m. local time, 9 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, officers stormed the building and detonated a controlled explosion. Where to go to donate blood? Here is a preliminary list of places for blood donors. Orlando West Michigan Donor Center, 345 West Michigan Street, Suite 106, Orlando, Florida 32806. Orlando Main Donor Center, 8669 Commodity Circle, Orlando, Florida 32819. Oviedo Donor Center, 1954, West State Road 426, Oviedo, Florida 32765. Asbury United Methodist Church, Bloodmobile 220, West Horatio Avenue, Maitland, Florida 32751. St. Luke's United Methodist Church, Bloodmobile 4851, South Apopka Vineland Road, Orlando, Florida 32819. Metro Church, Bloodmobile 1491, East State Road 434, Winter Springs, Florida 32708. 600 Floridians rush to donate blood after the massacre. Please have faith in humanity. One bad person doesn't mean humans are evil. Story 5. Still unable to locate my friend. I've called the hotline set up and had a friend drive to the Hampton Inn, where the family center is set up, and they are still not releasing any information at this time. I've called Orlando Regional and other hospitals, and I get nothing. Story 6. So I imagine that President Obama will give a televised speech about this shooting sometime today. It would make sense since this shooting is now unfortunately historic in its death toll. Story 7. The shooting at Pulse is devastating. 2 of my friend's family members were there and thankfully got out. One of them was shot but will be okay. If you are in the Orlando area, please consider donating blood. They are in desperate need of O-positive, O-negative, and AB plasma blood donors. Story 8. Sikh temples in Orlando are open for all seeking food, shelter, and comfort. Pray for Florida LGBTQ Orlando shooting. Story 9. My brother was club hopping and was on his way there but stopped to get some food with friends. He was 5 minutes away before it happened but decided to go home instead. So incredibly crazy how close some things are to being completely different. I'm so grateful. Story 10. My best friend lives right around the corner from Pulse and spent the night hiding in her closet because she was hearing gunfire but didn't know where it was coming from or what was going on. I cannot even imagine how terrifying it must have been for everyone there. Story 11. I was playing Rocket League with one of my Middle Eastern friends. When I first heard of this happening, I told him what was going on, and he asked if it was one of his people. His English is kind of broken. I said, yeah, it was. He was so upset he began crying and went offline. I can't imagine how frustrating this must be. We ended up losing 4-3. He left mid-game. He got back on and apologized for getting so upset. He started talking about how difficult and frustrating it is to be a Muslim and of Middle Eastern descent, and how he just wants to be here and go to school like any other person. Story 12. I wonder what the police tactics were on this one. I hear the gunman took hostages and started executing. I'll be so angry if it's a repeat of Columbine where the police waited outside for hours while those kids were getting executed. Story 13. One of my best friends was there last night. He is a promoter and it was just Latino night at Pulse. It's a weekly event and not really his thing. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. to kiss my boyfriend goodbye before work and saw the story, and my heart sank. I saw the story breaking on Reddit. I checked Facebook to see what event was going on there that night. Then I saw my best friend's videos, tons of them. He was there last night. Luckily, all the videos are of the commotion outside and he is okay. I'm just in such a state of shock and disgust. Pulse is one of my favorite clubs. I just turned 21, and I won a costume contest there the week before my birthday. We would go there and watch RuPaul's Drag Race together. I've been on the scene here since I was 18, and it makes me so sad to think that people I have danced with, drank with, shared smokes with, or hurt or worse. It's scary to think how easily I could have gone out last night after work, and that double entendre was intended. My mom called me crying, thinking I was dead. My boyfriend's mom did the same thing. I'm still upset. When he wakes up, I'll ask permission to post some of his videos for you. Story 14. I live 500 meters from the concert hall called Bataclan in Paris. So I have kind of been there. Lost friends, got friends badly hurt. I have nothing smart to say. This is absolute horror. I stand with you from Paris as you were with us when we got hurt. Forget those murderers. Love will prevail. Damn, this is so sad. Sorry for not making sense. Story 15. This, from the shooter's father, is from Huffington Post. We're apologizing for the whole incident, read Sadiq's statement. We weren't aware of any action he is taking. We are in shock like the whole country. This had nothing to do with religion. He says his son got very angry when he saw two men kissing in downtown Miami a couple of months ago, and believes that was part of his son's motive. Story 16. Disgraceful behavior. At this point, I'm not really sure what's going on anymore. I feel terrible for the victims and their families. Edit. My brother has some friends who died in the shooting. Truly devastating. Story 17. This story hits so many buttons. Domestic terrorism. Radical Islamic terrorism. Muslim immigrants. Religious attacks on gays. Guns probably legally purchased. Assault rifles. Latino population. Florida gun laws. Another mass shooting. Media spin. It's like every hot-button issue of the day rolled into one horrible tragedy. Story 18. I just found out one of my friends who I went to high school with, and arguably one of the sweetest humans ever, died. Her name was Paula. She was so kind and sweet. She was such a good person. Hug someone you love today. We need to do something to help out everyone involved. Edit. I feel like such utter sadness. Apparently, my friend Paula wasn't involved in the shooting. Her aorta ruptured. She was at the hospital that most of the injured went to. I kept getting different reports. Someone said she died on a roller coaster. Someone said she died after having a seizure. I'm sorry to lead you on, but we still need to do something to help everyone out. We still need to hug someone today. That has not and will not change. Story 19. I am from Orlando. My friend woke me up around 3 a.m. and alerted me to the situation, so I was able to follow the events as they happened. The Pulse Orlando Facebook page provides a lot of information in the comments. A comment from the page below. There was a shooter with an assault rifle who shot people in the club sometime around 2 a.m. The club is reported to have been at full capacity. The shooter has barricaded himself inside Pulse with multiple hostages. This is according to a private source. The initial assessment and estimate was at least 20 red-tagged patients per Orlando Fire Department. They are prepared to take 20 trauma alerts at Orlando Regional Medical Center. Yellow and green tag patients will be welcome at Florida Hospital East. Florida Hospital Orlando has taken on 2 red tags so far. They have reached out to Seminole Fire and Rescue and placed their units on standby. Orlando sounds like they are in charge. They just made ballistic vests available to the fire and emergency medical services first responders in the red zone. The walking wounded are moving to a treatment area behind Einstein Bagels. All that info is from a police scanner and is being updated as it happens. 3:23 a.m. Active fired shots outside Orlando Regional Medical Center. 3:24 a.m. The shooter at Orlando Regional Medical Center is inside the hospital. They can no longer take any patients. The shooter is locked inside the hospital. 3:27 a.m. 3 more trauma alerts. 3:28 a.m. Orlando Regional Medical Center is no longer on lockdown. They are requested only trauma alerts now. No walking wounded will be there. Only trauma alerts. 3:34 a.m. They reached 250 victims. 3:39 a.m. I think they just said they have transported all patients and are waiting to hear from the interior of the structure. 3:50 a.m. They are having to pull Orlando Police Department to a large gathering at Columbia. Everyone get back in your houses. Go home. You are pulling resources for selfish reasons. 3:56 a.m. They requested 1 more transport. So they have 1 more patient. It has really slowed down though. They just told someone to stage. For 19 a.m., they are being told they are expecting more patients who might be coming out right now. For 23 a.m., there are 8 patients coming out. For 24 a.m., they are not tagged yet. They just know they have 8 patients walking out to the treatment area. 5:16 a.m. Gunfire. 5:18 a.m. Officer injury. 5:19 a.m. New victim at treatment. 5:20 a.m. Trauma alert with refusal of medical aid to Orlando Regional Medical Center. And Orlando Police Department is transporting one of their own to the hospital, not waiting on transport. 5:27 a.m. Another victim being rolled out. 5:30 a.m. Orlando Police Department is transporting victims to Orlando Regional Medical Center, not waiting on treatment. 5:32 a.m. 2 more trauma alerts. They are establishing a second treatment group due to this confusion. 5:42 a.m. Greens and yellows being transported. Shooter is dead. According to police, 6 a.m. Dr. Phillips' emergency room has had some transported there as well. Press conference recap from British Broadcasting Corporation. Multiple people are dead inside Pulse Orlando Nightclub. At least 42 people have been taken to hospitals. Our officer engaged in a gun battle with the suspect. This turned into a hostage situation. The decision was made to rescue hostages. We exchanged fire, and the suspect is dead. We consider this an act of terrorism, whether it's domestic or international. When I began listening to the scanner channel, there were 4 listeners. It went up as high as 7,500. 8:50 a.m. Winnie and Arnold Palmer hospitals are no longer on lockdown. Story 20. Very interesting insights from his ex-wife. Notable excerpts include, "He was not a stable person," said the ex-wife, who spoke on the condition of anonymity because she feared for her safety in the wake of the mass shooting. "He beat me. He would just come home and start beating me up because the laundry wasn't finished or something like that." She added that he wasn't very religious and worked out at the gym often. She said in the few months they were married, he gave no signs of having fallen under the sway of radical Islam. So not very religious, and a crazy abusive person. I know that things and people can change over time, but this is some of the only evidence of this man's character that I've seen that isn't complete hearsay. Please feel free to share compounding or conflicting sources. as long as they're at least somewhat legitimate. This stuff is very interesting to me. Story 21. It's 1:42 a.m. here in Singapore, and I'm awake because I need to eat something before I fast for the day. I check Reddit and I'm in shock. I'm numb. It's just tragic what's happened here. My heart goes out to the victims of this tragedy and their families who are going through this. It's abhorrent and evil what the gunman did. I'm Muslim, and I'm not afraid to say that something needs to change. People need to stop dancing around the concept of this religion as if on eggshells. It's not Islamophobic to criticize it. If it leads to violence such as this, then something needs to change. It's just not right. It is an idea and it is not immune from criticism and analysis. I'm so torn up about this. What this psychopath did was just totally stupid. Things are going to be so much worse. So much worse. For everyone. There will be so much hatred from all sides and I'm so scared. I just want peace for people, but I'm scared as to how things are going to go next. People who live in Orlando, please be safe. I will pray for you. I know many out there will hate me, and I will receive hate for this post, but I pray that you are safe, your families are safe, and that you recover from this disaster. Story 22. Please spread these around. I made these posters, infographics for non-medical personnel. These instruct you on how to stop gunshot and stabbing bleeding before emergency medical services and first responders arrive. With mass shootings like this, time is of the essence, and sometimes patients bleed out waiting for the scene to clear or to be found. Do not let this massacre divide us. Humans helping humans, anytime, any place, any race. Charlie Alvarenga, National Registered Emergency Medical Technician Paramedic, Flight Paramedic Certified, Bachelor of Science in Emergency Medical Services. Story 23. Here come hundreds of interviews with Trump and Clinton about what they would do. In saying this, I mean to say that the candidates will probably attempt to exploit this tragedy in an effort to make themselves look better and further their own campaign. That is not to say this isn't incredibly important to discuss, but I find it insensitive that, in general, politicians use a tragedy for their own personal goals.